The night hung heavy over the York River. The air was thick with humidity, the scent of wet earth and decomposing leaves rising in waves. It should have been another routine night of pre-deployment exercises, the kind Navy SEALs ran countless times without incident. But at 2:14, a single deafening shot shattered the calm. It was precise, almost surgical, and echoed unnaturally across the water, ricocheting off the riverbank as if mocking their trained ears. Chief Petty Officer Gage Turner froze mid-step. 15 years in the teams hadn't dulled his instincts. If anything, they had sharpened them. The shot was perfect, dead center through the armored plate they'd set up for target practice. The wind call was flawless, the trajectory clean. No visible muzzle flash, no movement in the tree line, nothing, just a silence that pressed against his chest like water in a submerged coffin. The rest of the team scrambled instinctively. Rifles were up in a heartbeat, fingers grazing triggers, eyes scanning the inky black of the marsh. The only sounds were the slap of boots against mud, the faint rush of the river, and the rapid, shallow breaths of trained killers suddenly aware they were prey. A voice cut through the darkness in a near whisper, trembling with disbelief. "Where's the shooter?" No answer came, only the whisper of reeds against one another, disturbed by an unseen figure. The question hung heavy in the night, charged with the unspoken understanding. Whoever fired that round wasn't supposed to be here. Gage's hand tightened around the grip of his rifle. He motioned for the team to fan out, their movements precise despite the tension. Each footfall was measured, every shadow interrogated with hawk-like precision. Then his boot pressed against something soft in the mud. A footprint. Small, barefoot. It was impossible. Navy SEALs never operated barefoot, not here, not in training, not ever. He leaned closer, the night vision goggles amplifying the dark shapes of the earth around him. The mud was fresh, glistening, as if the owner had just emerged from the river. The river. Gage's pulse quickened. The river ran silently beside them, dark and reflective, hiding currents and secrets. And now, it seemed, hiding a sniper who had just bested an elite SEAL platoon at their own game. "Chief, this doesn't make sense," whispered Lieutenant Harris, a younger SEAL with nerves straining at the edges. "How could anyone get that shot without being seen?" Gage didn't answer immediately. He felt the hair on his neck prickle, the chill of a premonition crawling through him. This wasn't a mistake, and it wasn't a trainee's lucky shot. This was professional, too professional. He crouched, peering into the river, watching the dark water ripple lazily in the moonlight. And then he saw it movement, subtle at first, like a shadow detaching from the water. Then a figure began to rise, waist deep in mud and reeds, camouflaged, face streaked with dark paint. They emerged slowly, deliberately, as if the river itself had gifted them its protection. Gage's hand instinctively moved toward the figure, but his mind froze. The shape was small, lean, not a man. The team froze too, rifles locked on the figure, night vision goggles glowing faint green against the darkness. The moon peeked through clouds just enough to illuminate a woman stepping out of the river. Her ghillie suit hung in wet, dripping sheets, reeds tangled in her hair like trophies. Every movement was deliberate, silent, and unnervingly calm. "Identify yourself," Gage barked, though his voice lacked its usual authority. The woman didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. She reached up and casually removed a reed from her hair, flicking it aside like an irritation she'd endured before. Then her eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the team as if measuring every pulse, every microreaction. "Your perimeter has 3 blind angles," she said, her voice low, steady, precise. "And I just put a round through your hardest target." The team exchanged glances. Chief Petty Officer Turner's jaw tightened. His hardest target, that meant she knew their drills, she knew their numbers, she knew where to hit. "Who are you?" Gage asked, stepping forward, trying to assert control. The woman's gaze locked on him, nothing but cold calculation. "We need to talk before he fires again." Before Gage could respond, another crack split the night. A round skipped over the sand near the medic's boot, tearing up dirt with precision. The team dove instinctively, weapons rising. The shot came not from the trees, not from the riverbank. Somewhere else entirely, calculated, taunting, aware of their movements. Gage's stomach tightened. Someone else, he breathed. The woman nodded just barely. Someone you don't know, but he knows me, and he's baiting me, baiting us. He looked at her incredulously. Baiting us? Why? Because he thinks I owe him blood. Her words cut through the humid night air like a knife. Silence fell. Even the river seemed to hold its breath. The wind shifted, carrying with it the subtle scent of gunpowder from the previous shot. The team tensed again. Every seal knew what that smell meant. Someone was close. Too close. Gage's mind raced. He had trained for ambushes, for hidden shooters, for impossible odds, but never like this. This was a professional mind playing a game he didn't understand yet. And the woman, she was part of it. She was dangerous. And yet, she seemed to be on their side. "We don't move until you tell us what's going on," he said, voice low, cutting through the tension. Her eyes never left his. Calm, unreadable. "Follow me, and don't step out of line. If you do, the river will teach you what happens to those who hesitate." And with that, she stepped back toward the river, slipping silently into the darkness as if she had never been there. The team followed cautiously, rifles trained on her back, hearts hammering. The night had shifted. What should have been a routine exercise had become a hunt, and the hunter had already chosen its prey. The only certainty was that someone was out there, watching, waiting, and that the next shot could decide who lived and who didn't. Gage glanced at the river, the dark water curling like a serpent around their legs. He swallowed hard. Somewhere beneath that black surface was a sniper who had just humiliated an entire SEAL platoon, moving like a ghost. And Gage realized with a chill creeping down his spine, this was no training exercise. This was the beginning of a very real fight, and they were already behind. He raised his head, scanning the tree line again. The night was quiet, too quiet. Then the water rippled. Not from the current. From something alive, moving beneath the surface. Gage felt his stomach clench. Whoever it was, they weren't done yet. And that was when he saw it. A hand breaking the water, gripping the edge of the riverbank. Slowly, deliberately. Emerging, the hand broke the surface first, then the shoulder. Then the figure rose fully from the dark water, dripping like a shadow that had been sculpted from the river itself. Water cascaded down her ghillie suit, reeds and mud clinging to her limbs, yet every movement was deliberate, effortless, controlled. The SEAL team froze. Not a whisper, not a twitch of motion. Only the gentle slap of water on the riverbank broke the heavy night air. Gage Turner's mind raced. He had trained with some of the best marksmen in the world, men who had survived ambushes in deserts, mountains, and jungles. But he had never seen anyone move through water like this without leaving a single audible trace. She didn't wade. She emerged as though the river itself had borne her forward. The moon broke through a thin layer of clouds, illuminating her face for the first time. High cheekbones, sharp eyes, and a cold, steady gaze that could unnerve even the most seasoned operator. There was no fear, no hesitation, only quiet, almost arrogant confidence. "She's small," whispered Harris, his voice tight in his throat. "Too small to carry that rifle." Gage's eyes narrowed. Size doesn't matter, skill does, and she has it in spades. The woman, Viper, as he would soon come to know her, didn't speak for a moment. She simply scanned the perimeter, every shadow, every tree, every ripple on the water, calculating and analyzing. Her rifle case, waterproof and sleek, dangled behind her like an extension of her body. Finally she spoke. Her voice was low, controlled, and unnervingly calm. "Your perimeter has 3 blind angles, and I just put a round through your hardest target." The team exchanged stunned glances. Hardest target. That meant she knew their drill formations, their routines, and perhaps even the team members themselves. She hadn't just fired a shot. She had studied, memorized, and executed it flawlessly. Gage swallowed hard. Identify yourself now. She tilted her head slightly, eyes locking on his. We need to talk before he fires again. Gage's pulse jumped. Who? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she took a deliberate step toward the team, water dripping from her suit. The sound of her footfalls was surprisingly light, almost ethereal, as if she weighed nothing at all. Then another crack split the night air. The team dropped instinctively behind cover as the bullet skipped past the medic's boot. Dirt erupted like tiny geysers, and the sharp, clean smell of gunpowder hit their noses. The shot didn't come from the riverbank, not from the trees, not from anywhere the SEALs could see. It was too precise to be random. She moved, Viper said, calm but tense. Quarter-mile north. Follow me if you want to survive. Gage's eyes narrowed. You know him. Viper's jaw flexed. I trained him. And now he's shooting at us. No, she said softly. He's shooting at me. The SEALs were momentarily stunned. She wasn't their enemy, but the enemy was here, and he was dangerous enough to strike at the very edge of their formation, just to make a point. Then why are we moving with you? Harris asked, voice tight. Because staying put gets everyone killed, she said. He's smart, you're not, follow my lead. Gage exhaled through his nose. He hated following orders from strangers. Navy SEALs were trained to take initiative, not obey outsiders. But instinct screamed that she knew more than anyone else in the field. They had no choice. They moved in formation, rifles up, silent. The forest around them was alive with every whisper, every crack, every rustle of leaves amplified by their heightened awareness. Shadows shifted unnaturally, playing tricks on the eyes, but Gage knew better than to trust illusions. As they advanced, Viper paused suddenly, crouching beside a tree root and pointing toward the dirt. Gage leaned closer. Another footprint, barefoot again, fresh and unmistakable. He's crawling low, Viper whispered, closer than you think. The SEALs tensed, scanning the dark woods. Then a flicker of movement caught Gage's eye, across the ravine, a shadow with the unmistakable shape of a rifle. Gage froze, clear shot. Viper's eyes flicked to the target. No, he's baiting you, it's not him, it's a decoy. Before she could finish, Gage felt it. The hairs on his neck stood on end. Somewhere behind them, another bolt of metal was drawn, not theirs. He spun, rifles trained on the spot, but the forest swallowed everything. Nothing. Viper's calm demeanor shattered for the first time. Her eyes darted, calculating, measuring distances and angles in milliseconds. He's behind us. Great, Gage muttered under his breath. Just great. The team moved cautiously, flanking Viper as they advanced. The river behind them rippled ominously, as if aware of the danger lurking in its shadows. Gage knew they were in a deadly triangle, the sniper in front, the one behind, and the unknown between them. Every instinct screamed to retreat, but retreat was impossible without exposing themselves to fire from multiple angles. Then she spoke again, voice low and taut with memory. He's not going to shoot to kill, not yet. Not yet, Harris echoed, incredulous. Viper's face hardened. Because he wants me to watch first, watch everyone around me fall. A chill went down Gage's spine. This was personal, far more personal than any SEAL mission he had ever been on. Tell us what happened, Gage demanded, keeping his voice steady despite the tightening in his chest. Viper exhaled slowly, the weight of years pressing down. He was my spotter, years ago, private contracting unit. Dangerous ops you wouldn't believe exist, ops the government will never acknowledge. He saved my life once. I didn't save his. Before Gage could process this, another whisper of movement came from the tree line. A shadow flickered, then vanished. The pulse of tension skyrocketed. Gage's eyes darted to Viper. We need to know, what is he planning? Viper's gaze stayed forward. He's herding us back to where it all started. Every seal in the group felt it, an instinctive, deep dread. The kind that made you clench your fists and swallow bile. She wasn't bluffing. This was bigger than a single ambush. This was a hunt, and they were being driven exactly where the hunter wanted. The moonlight shifted across the river. Viper's eyes reflected it, cold and calculating again. We move fast, stay low, and we watch every shadow. One mistake, one hesitation, and it's over. Gage's pulse raced. The river, the forest, the night, it all seemed alive with a predator he couldn't see. The seals followed Viper, silent, tense, hearts hammering. The unknown sniper had just transformed the familiar York River training grounds into a deadly game of cat and mouse. Then, as if the night itself were warning them, a ripple ran across the river, emanating from somewhere deep in the dark water. Viper froze. Her eyes narrowed. "The river remembers," she whispered. And for the first time, Gage understood. Whatever was coming next, it was only just beginning. The forest seemed to close in around them, every tree a potential hiding place, every shadow a possible threat. Gage Turner led the seals behind Viper as she moved with uncanny precision, each step calculated, silent, ghost-like. Their rifles were raised, fingers grazing triggers, hearts pounding in unison with the rhythm of the darkened woods. Then it happened. A single crack of a rifle echoed through the trees, subtle, almost muted, yet unmistakable. Gage barely had time to react before the bullet whipped past his ear, slicing through the air with a soft whistle. Dirt sprayed up where it grazed the ground, mere inches from Harris's boot. The team dropped instantly, adrenaline spiking. Every muscle tightened, every nerve screaming. This was no ordinary target, no routine exercise. Whoever had fired the shot was inside the forest, tracking them with surgical precision. Viper didn't flinch. She crouched low, scanning the trees, her eyes calculating the distance, trajectory, and position in a fraction of a second. Her hand lifted, signaling the seals to hold. "He's moved," she said quietly, almost under her breath. "Quarter-mile north, he's baiting us." Gage's brows knitted together. Baiting us for what? Viper's lips tightened. "To draw me out, he wants me to lead you here." "Lead us where?" Gage asked. Her gaze hardened, eyes locking onto some invisible point in the darkness. "Back to where it all started, the place I've been trying to forget." Gage's pulse jumped. That statement carried weight. It wasn't just strategy, it was personal. They were walking into the heart of her history, her secrets, her failures, and apparently, a man who had unfinished business with her. Another shot cracked the air, faster this time. The team ducked behind the trunks of massive pines, hearts hammering. Whoever was shooting wasn't just skilled. They were anticipating movement, predicting instinct, reading fear. Gage risked a glance through his scope. There, a flash of black across the tree line, a hint of motion, barely perceptible. The forest was alive with danger, yet the sniper remained unseen. Viper's voice broke the tense silence. "He's not going to shoot to kill, not yet." "Not yet," Harris repeated incredulously, his voice tight. "Because he wants me to watch first," she said. Her eyes glinted with a mix of fear and fury. "Watch everyone around me fall before he comes for me." Gage swallowed hard. "You know him." She didn't answer immediately. Her jaw clenched, and for the first time her composure faltered. "We were partners," she admitted finally, voice low and tight. "Private contracting, dangerous ops that no one acknowledges. He saved my life once, I didn't save his." The team exchanged glances. This wasn't just a sniper they were facing. This was someone with history, skill, and personal vendetta. Someone who understood Viper in a way no one else could. The tension in the woods became almost suffocating. Every step forward was measured, cautious, as if the ground itself might betray them. The river behind them rippled quietly, a dark undercurrent hinting at secrets hidden beneath its surface. Then another shot, so fast, so precise it grazed the leaves above them, forced everyone flat against the earth. Gage's pulse spiked. This was no longer just a cat-and-mouse game. They were in a trap, and the trap had already sprung. "Stay low," Viper instructed, her voice sharp. Every shadow could be him, every sound could be a lie. Gage followed her lead, creeping through the underbrush. The seals flanked her, moving as silently as phantoms. Every sense was alert, eyes scanning, ears straining. The smell of wet earth, gunpowder, and the faint tang of blood, old, distant, carried by the wind, filled the air. Viper suddenly froze, pressing herself against the trunk of a pine. She raised a finger, signaling the team to halt. "They're close," she whispered. "Two of them, one in front, one behind. They're coordinating." Gage's heart sank. 2 shooters. They were prepared for 1, maybe 2, but not this level of deadly synchronization. A rustle to their right, subtle but deliberate. A shadow moved with intent, keeping pace with their advance yet never revealing itself fully. "They're playing with us," Harris muttered. "No," Viper corrected. "They're testing me, testing us, seeing how far I'll go to survive." Another round zipped past, kicking up dirt just ahead of Gage. He froze, forcing himself to remain still. Whoever it was, they weren't just aiming, they were calculating, teaching a lesson, controlling the fight without exposing themselves. Viper's eyes flicked to the river. He's using the environment, using the terrain. He knows every blind spot, every angle. We move incorrectly, we die. Gage felt the chill of reality seep in. This wasn't a game anymore. Every instinct screamed danger. Every step was a potential death sentence. Suddenly, movement from behind. A subtle crunch of twigs. Gage risked a glance and saw nothing, yet the feeling of being hunted was undeniable. "He's behind us," Viper said, tension in her voice. "And he's been there since the first shot, watching, waiting, calculating." Gage turned slowly, scanning the darkness. No movement, no muzzle flash, nothing. And yet the weight of unseen eyes pressed down on them, a suffocating presence in the cold night. Viper adjusted her rifle case, every motion precise, every muscle coiled like a spring. "He's waiting for me to make a mistake, to lead you into his trap. Don't move until I tell you." Another shot cracked the silence. This one wasn't a warning, it was a message. Accurate, deliberate, terrifying. Gage felt a bead of sweat run down his temple. "How do you know all this?" he asked, voice low. She didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were fixed on a distant point, calculating distances and trajectories. Finally, she spoke, voice heavy with memory and emotion. "Because I trained him, I know his patterns, his instincts, his obsessions. But this is different. He's changed, smarter, darker, and he's hunting me, not you." The team's unease deepened. If Viper's former partner had turned predator, what chance did anyone have against him? Then, as if on cue, a shadow flickered across the far bank of the river. Quick, ghost-like, gone before anyone could aim properly. Viper's eyes narrowed. That's him. Gage scanned, but the figure had disappeared. Where? She didn't answer. Her jaw tightened, lips pressed in a thin line. She lifted her hand, signaling for them to follow her deeper into the forest. "This is his playground," she said, "and he knows every corner, every tree, every shadow. If we hesitate, we die." The river beside them rippled again. A sense of something waiting beneath the surface made Gage's stomach tighten. "He's patient," Viper said, "and he's coming for me and you if you stand in my way." The seals followed, tension so thick it seemed to cling to their skin. The air was electric, every sound amplified, every shadow a threat. They were no longer in training. They were in a fight for survival. And somewhere in the darkness, the shadow sniper moved, waiting, calculating, ready to strike with lethal precision. The forest grew darker as they pressed forward, the dense canopy swallowing what little moonlight had managed to pierce through. Every step was measured, every sound amplified in the silent night. The seals moved like shadows behind Viper, weapons raised, eyes scanning, senses on fire. Even seasoned warriors like Gage Turner felt the creeping dread that only comes when you know your hunter is also unseen. Viper's gait was unnervingly calm, light on her feet, almost ethereal. Her eyes, sharp and calculated, scanned every rustling leaf, every broken branch. She moved like someone who had spent years stalking killers and surviving. Her presence was magnetic, commanding the seals' attention despite the chaos swirling around them. Suddenly, she stopped. One hand pressed against the rough bark of a massive pine, her gaze locked onto a faint indentation in the forest floor. Gage crouched beside her, peering at the mark. A knuckle imprint in the dirt, fresh. "He's crawling low," she whispered, her voice taut with tension. "Closer than you think." The seals exchanged glances. Someone capable of moving undetected at this level wasn't just skilled. They were a ghost, and they were deadly. A rustle from the ridge above caught Gage's attention. He froze. A dark silhouette slipped between the pines, fleeting, almost imperceptible, but the shape of a rifle was unmistakable. His breath caught. "That's him," Viper said, her tone sharp, eyes widening. Gage signaled the team to stabilize, weapons raised, hearts hammering in unison. "Clear shot," he whispered. Viper shook her head. "No, he's baiting you. It's not him. It's a decoy." Before she could finish, a metallic click sounded from behind them. It was soft, precise, unmistakable, the sound of a rifle bolt being drawn. Gage spun, aiming toward the noise. The forest swallowed the movement. No silhouette, no glint of metal, nothing. And yet he knew the presence was real. "He's behind us," Viper said, her voice low but urgent. "And he's been there all along, watching, waiting." The team froze. The hunter was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Every shadow could be him. Every sound a potential death sentence. Viper adjusted the strap on her rifle case, every motion precise. "He's smart. Smarter than I thought. This is personal. He's not just testing me. He's testing all of you, seeing how far I'll go to survive." Gage's pulse raced. "We're getting too deep," he muttered. "We need to find a vantage point, regroup, figure out what we're dealing with." Viper's eyes flicked to the river. The water was dark, almost liquid shadow, reflecting the moonlight in fragmented shards. She pressed a finger to her lips, signaling silence. A soft splash echoed in the distance, subtle enough that the untrained ear would miss it. Viper's eyes narrowed. "He's using the environment," she whispered. "He knows the terrain better than anyone here. Every blind spot, every angle. We move incorrectly, we die." Another flash of movement, a dark shape slipping between trees, faster than the eye could follow. The seals tensed, weapons tracking, but the figure vanished as quickly as it appeared. Viper's jaw tightened. "He's guiding us, herding us, back to the place he wants, back to where it all started." Gage's mind raced. This was more than a hunt. This was a psychological war. Whoever they were facing understood not just tactics but fear, history, and the weakness of memory. They pressed forward, flanking along the ridge as Viper led them through a maze of undergrowth and fallen trees. Every branch seemed a potential threat, every shadow a challenge to their senses. Then abruptly Viper stopped. The forest opened into a small clearing, pale moonlight spilling across the ground. The worst tactical position imaginable, exposed, flat, no cover. The seals instinctively dropped to the earth, rifles scanning. Viper's expression changed. She froze in the center of the clearing, water dripping from her hair and suit. Her breath hitched. A rusted metal pole jutted from the ground, a bullet gouge in the center, roughly at the height of a man's head. "This is where he died," she whispered. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the calm she had carried this far. "Or where he should have." The seals looked at her in disbelief. "You mean he survived a headshot?" Harris asked, voice barely audible. He survived my headshot, she said quietly. The memory burned in her eyes. A rustling behind them. The SEALs turned, rifles raised. Nothing. Yet the tension was suffocating. The air seemed to thrum with anticipation. Viper didn't flinch. Instead, she closed her eyes, listening to the forest in a way that no ordinary person could. Her fingers traced the dirt beside the pole. "This isn't his work," she whispered. Gage frowned. "What do you mean?" She opened her eyes, hard and sharp. "He doesn't use explosives." Before anyone could react, a low, mocking voice cut through the trees. "Long time, partner." The SEALs snapped toward the sound. A tall, lean man stepped into the clearing, draped in camouflage that blended seamlessly with the dark pines. A scar ran across his brow, catching the moonlight. His eyes were cold, calculating, amused. Viper's breath caught. "Rook." The man Rook smiled without warmth. "You brought company." Gage's teeth clenched. "Stand down." Rook raised his hand slowly, deliberately, each movement casual. "Oh, I'm not here to kill you. Not yet." Viper's voice shook. "You set the mine." "No," Rook said, stepping closer, eyes glinting. "She did." "She?" Gage asked, confusion rising. Rook's smile widened. "You didn't tell them about your other partner, did you?" Viper's blood ran cold. Her eyes narrowed, the weight of revelation pressing down. They weren't facing one sniper. They were facing two. One she had betrayed, one who betrayed her. A soft click echoed beneath her boot. Her gaze dropped, an anti-personnel mine, partially buried in the dirt, blinking faintly. Viper's eyes widened. "Everyone run now." Gage didn't move. He grabbed her arm. "No one leaves you." Viper shook her head violently. "You don't understand, this mine." The timer beeped, a soft, sinister rhythm. Seconds ticked away. Somewhere in the forest, another rifle barrel glinted in the moonlight. Gage realized the nightmare had just deepened. The hunter wasn't alone, and they were already inside the trap. Viper's eyes locked with his, raw emotion breaking through the composed exterior for the first time. Fear, regret, fury, an entire lifetime compressed into one glance. Then the forest seemed to hold its breath. And Gage knew, with the certainty that only a soldier feels in the face of death, that the next move would decide everything. The forest seemed to close around them, the trees pressing in as if conspiring with the shadows. Every sound, the whisper of the wind, the snap of a twig, the distant splash of water, was amplified, each carrying the threat of unseen death. Viper's eyes darted to the blinking mine beneath her boot, calculating the distance, the trajectory, and the time left before it detonated. Her pulse raced, fingers trembling just slightly on her rifle. She had seen death before, faced it in deserts, mountains, and urban battlegrounds, but not like this. This was personal. This was intimate. "Move," Gage shouted, pulling her backward, almost stumbling as the timer ticked away. Harris and the other SEALs followed, diving over roots and fallen branches, hearts hammering, rifles trained on every flickering shadow. Rook's silhouette emerged from behind a tree, casual, confident, almost taunting. "Careful where you step," he said, voice low and cold. "Some things you don't want to touch." Viper hissed through her teeth. "This was his trap," she muttered under her breath. "All of it, but he's not alone. Someone else is in this forest, someone I trusted." Gage's pulse spiked. "What do you mean?" She shook her head, eyes scanning the darkness. "I can't tell you yet, not here, not now, just trust me. Watch your corners, watch the river, and stay close." The team pressed on, moving as fast and quietly as they could, muscles coiled like springs. Every step could trigger a trap. Every sound could betray their position. Another crack split the night. A bullet whistled past Harris's head, ricocheting into the trunk of a pine. The SEALs hit the ground instantly. "Two shooters," Viper whispered, eyes scanning the tree line. "One is Rook. The other, I thought I lost him years ago, but he's back, and he's not forgiving." Gage's breath caught. He had heard rumors of Viper's past, dangerous missions, private contracting, elite ops, but nothing had prepared him for this. Her history wasn't just complicated, it was lethal, and now their team was in the middle of it. The forest seemed alive, each shadow shifting, each rustle hiding predators. The seals moved cautiously, flanking Viper as she led them to higher ground. From there, the clearing below stretched out, moonlight glinting off waterlogged trees and jagged roots. Viper crouched beside a large pine, hand pressed to the trunk. Her eyes scanned the clearing below, calculating angles, distances, and escape routes. Her voice was low, steady, but tight with emotion. "He wants me to lead you into the trap," she said. "Every move we make, every step we take, he anticipates it. He knows me, knows you now. And the other I trusted, he's waiting to see what happens next." Gage's brow furrowed. "You trusted someone who?" She exhaled, the weight of her past pressing down. "My spotter, years ago. We ran missions together, watched each other's backs. He died, or I thought he did, but someone survived, and he's been planning this for a long time. Every shot, every ambush, every step, it's all him. And he's not alone." The seals exchanged glances, the tension in the air thickening. The forest was no longer just a battleground. It was a psychological maze, a trap designed to unravel their minds as much as their bodies. Suddenly, a movement, a shadow slipping through the trees to their left. The seals trained their rifles, but the figure vanished before a shot could be fired. "Decoy," Viper muttered. "He's testing us, seeing how we react, seeing if fear can make us falter." Gage's pulse thundered in his ears. "Then let's not falter." The team pressed on, moving carefully down a narrow ridge, every step measured. The forest seemed to hum with anticipation, the river beside them a dark mirror reflecting the threat lurking in the shadows. Another shot rang out, this time from the opposite side. The seals dove for cover. Dirt and leaves erupted, the smell of gunpowder mingling with the wet earth. Viper's eyes narrowed. "He's coordinating the shots, timing them, testing our reactions. This is more than a hunt. This is a lesson in fear." Gage's jaw clenched. "We need to find him, end this before someone dies." Viper shook her head. "No, not yet. He wants to control the narrative, make me watch everyone around me suffer. That's why he's here. That's why he's testing me and you. One wrong move and we're done." They moved cautiously, inching forward, every sense on high alert. The forest seemed endless, shadows shifting like living things, every sound amplified. Then Viper stopped abruptly, pressing herself against a massive tree. Her eyes locked on something in the distance. "Look," she whispered. Gage followed her gaze. Across the clearing, partially hidden by a fallen log and thick underbrush, a figure crouched, rifle leveled, watching. The faint glint of a scope caught the moonlight. "Rook," Gage whispered. Viper shook her head. "No, that's him. The one I thought dead, my old partner, he's alive, and he's been orchestrating this entire hunt." Gage felt a cold dread wash over him. The sniper wasn't just skilled. He was intimate with the team's movements, their psychology, their reactions. He knew Viper. He knew them. And he was using that knowledge to deadly effect. Suddenly, the figure fired. A round zipped past, striking the trunk of a tree mere inches from Harris. "Return fire," Gage shouted. The seals unleashed a flurry of shots, but the sniper vanished into the shadows, leaving nothing but a whisper of movement. Viper pressed herself against Gage, eyes blazing with fury and fear. "He's playing with us, testing me, testing you, and now he wants me to make a choice." Gage's heart pounded. What choice? She swallowed hard, to save everyone or to survive. Before anyone could react, a low whistle cut through the night, followed by a muffled click. The anti-personnel mine from earlier, still partially hidden in the dirt, had been triggered. Viper screamed, diving backward with Gage, dragging Harris and the other seals with her. The forest erupted in chaos as the mine detonated, throwing mud, leaves, and debris into the air. The shockwave rattled bones, the acrid smell of burning explosives filling their nostrils. When the dust settled, the forest was eerily quiet. The seals scrambled to assess injuries. Miraculously, none were fatal, though Harris had a deep cut along his arm and Gage's shoulder was bruised from the blast. Viper's eyes were fixed on the tree line, every nerve taut. "He's not done," she said, voice low and deadly. "And now he's showing his hand." Gage's teeth clenched. "Then let's end this before more lives are lost." But Viper shook her head. "No, we have to play by his rules. If we act too soon, too recklessly, we're dead. Every one of us. Follow me and stay close. Watch every shadow, watch every step, and pray we survive the night." The seals followed, hearts hammering, eyes scanning, senses stretched to their limits. They were no longer hunting. They were prey in a forest designed by someone who knew their every weakness. And somewhere, hidden in the shadows, the unseen betrayer watched, waited, and smiled. The forest had fallen into an uneasy silence. The aftershock of the mine's detonation still lingered in the air, a metallic tang of fear, mud, and gunpowder mixed into the damp night. The seals pressed forward cautiously, following Viper, whose gaze flicked between the trees and the river with a predator's precision. The York River, normally placid at this hour, was different tonight. Shadows danced across its surface, ripples twisting unnaturally under the moonlight. It wasn't just water, it was an extension of the hunter's mind, a living, breathing threat. Every reflection, every current seemed to hold secrets. Gage's instincts screamed danger. "He's using the river," he muttered, eyes narrowing. "Every ambush, every angle, it's coordinated with the water." Viper's jaw tightened. "I told you, he's been planning this for years. The river is part of his playground. Every current, every bend, every drop of water, he knows it, and he'll use it against us." They crept along the bank, rifles ready, every footstep calculated. The forest behind them was thick, almost suffocating, and the river beside them seemed to pulse with menace. A low mist rose from the water, curling around their boots and hiding the uneven terrain beneath. Then a ripple, small at first, almost imperceptible. Viper froze, hand raised. The seals followed suit, scanning the water. Another ripple, this one closer. "He's in the water," Viper whispered, voice taut. Gage's eyes widened. "Impossible, he can't move that fast." But then the water erupted. A dark shape surged, almost human, almost a shadow. Viper's eyes locked on it. She didn't flinch. "He's testing you again. Watch him, every move, every reaction." The figure in the river moved with terrifying precision, cutting through the current without a sound, disappearing under the mist and re-emerging mere meters from the bank. The seals raised their rifles, but the sniper didn't expose himself fully. He was a ghost in the water, observing, waiting for the perfect moment. Gage felt his chest tighten. He had faced ambushes in deserts, mountains, and urban combat zones, but never like this. The river was part of the hunt, an unpredictable element turned weapon. Suddenly, Viper's hand shot out, grabbing Gage's arm. "Look," she hissed. A flash from upstream, tiny, almost like moonlight reflecting off metal. Another sniper's scope, trained on them. The seals scrambled behind the bank, diving for cover in the mud and reeds. Bullets whizzed past, one striking a tree with a sharp crack. "Two of them," Harris muttered, voice tight with tension. "One in the river, one on land." Viper's eyes were sharp, calculating. "And he's coordinating with the water. Every shot, every movement is timed perfectly. He's in control." Gage clenched his teeth. "Then we take control. We move fast, hit them hard, and end this." Viper shook her head. "Not yet. Not until we understand the rules of the game." The seals pressed on, hugging the riverbank, every muscle coiled, every sense alert. The mist grew thicker, curling around them like fingers, hiding threats and amplifying fear. Another ripple. This one larger, more deliberate. The water bubbled as if something beneath was stirring, testing them. Viper raised a finger, signaling everyone to stop. "He's showing his hand," she whispered. "He wants you to panic, to make mistakes. Don't. Hold your position." Gage could feel the tension in every limb. Time seemed to stretch, each second thick with anticipation. Then the river exploded. A figure leapt from the water, rifle raised, landing on the bank with deadly precision. Mud sprayed in all directions, reeds snapping under the weight of the impact. The SEALs opened fire, bullets tearing through the mist, but the figure was already rolling, disappearing behind a cluster of trees before a shot could connect. Viper's eyes narrowed. "He's testing our reactions again, and he's damn good." Gage's pulse pounded in his ears. "Then we hit him now. Split fire, flank left, cover right." Viper shook her head sharply. "No, wait, watch." Another shot rang out, not at them, but at a distant tree. A round struck dead center, shattering the bark with a precision that made Gage's stomach churn. Whoever was in the river, and whoever else was out there, wasn't just skilled. They were calculating, orchestrating, and cruelly enjoying the hunt. The SEALs held their fire, tense, eyes darting between Viper and the river. She moved slightly forward, crouched low, scanning the water. Her fingers traced the mud, noting currents, ripples, and subtle disturbances. "They're coordinated," she whispered. "Two of them, maybe more. They know how we move. They know our patterns, and now they're using the river to control us." Gage's mind raced. The water wasn't just terrain. It was a weapon, a channel for ambushes, a cover for a predator who could strike at any moment. A soft splash to their left drew his attention. Another figure, lean, dark, almost invisible in the mist, emerged from the water, moving silently toward the bank. "Cover me," Viper commanded. Gage, Harris, and the rest of the SEALs trained their rifles, following her movements like shadows. Every step she took was precise, measured, and deliberate, leading them into positions that maximized cover and minimized exposure. The water churned behind the new figure. Bullets ricocheted off trees as he fired, each shot calculated to test, intimidate, and force mistakes. Viper didn't flinch. "He's not just shooting to kill," she said. "He's learning us, testing us, waiting for a slip." The SEALs nodded, understanding the stakes. Every heartbeat mattered. Every twitch, every sound could be the difference between survival and death. Then a sudden, loud splash upstream made them all snap to attention. Another figure had entered the river, moving with terrifying speed and precision. The hunt had intensified. Viper's eyes flicked to Gage. "He wants me to choose," she whispered, "to protect them or survive." Gage's jaw clenched. "Then we survive together. No one is left behind." The river roiled, mist curling like smoke, shadows shifting with every ripple. The hunters were all around them now, above, below, and within the water itself. And the night, thick with tension, held its breath. For the first time, Gage understood the truth. The river had become the battlefield, the sniper had become the predator, and every decision they made from this moment forward would determine who lived and who didn't. The forest was alive with shadows and whispers, each sound magnified by the tension that coiled around the SEALs like steel wire. The river beside them rippled unnaturally, the mist thickening, curling like smoke, hiding the movements of the hunters who had turned the night into a deadly chessboard. Viper moved ahead, crouched low, eyes scanning every movement in the dark. Her breaths were steady but controlled, each exhale a rhythm that the SEALs followed. Every instinct told her the final confrontation was near. She could feel it in the way the shadows moved, in the subtle ripples of the river, in the silence between gunshots. "They're everywhere," Harris muttered, voice low, rifle tight in his hands. "We can't see them, but we're being hunted." Gage's jaw clenched. "Then we draw them out, no mistakes, eyes open, fingers ready. We end this now." Viper's eyes flicked to him. "Not yet. He wants me to make the first mistake. One wrong move and we're all dead. Follow my lead, watch every corner, and trust your instincts." The SEALs nodded, tension coiling tighter with every heartbeat. The forest seemed to press in on them, trees leaning like spectators to a deadly game, shadows shifting unnaturally under the pale moonlight. Suddenly, the river erupted. A shadow surged from the water with terrifying speed, landing silently on the bank before firing a single, precise round. The bullet struck a tree just above Harris's head, sending splinters flying. "Return fire," Gage shouted. Bullets tore through the mist, ricocheting off trees and roots. The sniper from the river rolled back into cover, almost effortlessly, disappearing as quickly as he had appeared. Viper's eyes narrowed. He's coordinating them. One in the water, one in the trees, and maybe more watching, waiting. He wants chaos. Gage's pulse thundered. Then we control it. Flank left, cover right, move fast. Viper shook her head sharply. No, follow my lead. Watch me, not the chaos. He's controlling it, we're reacting. That's exactly what he wants. The seals pressed forward cautiously, hugging the riverbank, muscles coiled like springs. Every sense was on high alert, every sound amplified. A rustle behind a cluster of reeds, the faint splash of water, the whisper of leaves, each one a potential death sentence. Viper stopped suddenly, crouching behind a fallen tree. Her hand shot out, signaling silence. She leaned forward, eyes locked on the far bank, where moonlight caught a faint glint of metal. "That's him," she whispered. "Rook." Gage trained his scope, scanning, but the sniper was a shadow, half hidden behind foliage. His breathing was controlled, steady, but every fiber of his body was coiled tight, ready for the perfect shot. Viper exhaled slowly. "We have one chance. Hit him fast, precise, no mistakes. If we miss, he disappears, and he'll hunt us one by one." The team nodded, moving into position. Gage's finger hovered over the trigger, heart pounding. Every muscle was tense, every nerve alive with anticipation. Suddenly, a low whistle cut through the night. Another figure emerged from the mist, moving along the riverbank, rifle raised, coordinated with Rook's position in the trees. The seals froze, calculating, realizing they were now trapped between two elite marksmen. Viper's eyes flared. "We divide and conquer. Harris, flank left. Gage, cover me. Stay tight, watch your angles." The team split, moving silently, rifles trained, muscles coiled. The hunters were precise, calculated, deadly, but so were the seals. The mist thickened, hiding movements, distorting shadows. A soft splash to their left drew their attention. The sniper from the river was advancing, moving like a shadow, silent, calculated. Another shot rang out from the trees, Rook's signature precision. The bullets ricocheted off the ground, spraying mud and debris. Viper fired first, a single round that cracked through the night air. The shot hit close enough to distract the sniper, forcing him to dive behind a tree. Gage followed, squeezing off a controlled burst, keeping pressure, forcing Rook to reveal himself. The two hunters were coordinating perfectly, moving as one, covering angles, anticipating every reaction. The seals realized the deadly reality. They were facing not just skill, but intimate knowledge of Viper's tactics, of their team's instincts, of how fear affected reaction times. Viper's voice cut through the chaos, calm and sharp. "He's baiting me, drawing me out. I have to play along. Follow me, keep tight, and watch every shadow." They pressed forward, inching through the mist, moving from cover to cover, every step a careful calculation. The river beside them churned, hiding threats, reflecting moonlight like silver daggers. Then a shot rang out from behind a thick pine. Harris dove, narrowly avoiding a bullet. The seals returned fire, the forest erupting in a deadly ballet of gunfire, shadows, and mist. Viper moved like a phantom, her rifle swinging from target to target, marking distances, angles, and timing. Her experience, honed over years of combat, allowed her to anticipate Rook's moves. Gage's pulse raced. "We can't keep this up forever. We need a decisive strike." Viper's eyes locked on the riverbank. "There, focus on the one in the water, draw him out. Timing is everything." A ripple in the river, subtle but deliberate. The water erupted as the sniper surged forward, firing a precise round. The seals returned fire, but he vanished, leaving only ripples and splashes. Viper didn't hesitate. She took a calculated shot, the bullet flying with deadly precision. The sniper in the water stumbled, momentarily visible, then vanished beneath the misty surface. Rook's voice cut through the chaos, low and cold. Impressive, but not enough. Gage realized the final confrontation was at hand. The hunters were coordinating, anticipating, and using the terrain and the river as extensions of their own lethal skill. Viper pressed forward, hand signals guiding the seals. Every movement was precise, every breath controlled. They approached the heart of the clearing, where moonlight illuminated the river's edge. Rook stepped into view, rifle leveled, a smirk on his scarred face. "You should have stayed out of my way." Viper's voice was low, fierce. "This ends tonight, no more games." The two faced each other, rifles ready, shadows dancing between them. The seals flanked, covering angles ready to support. The tension was unbearable. Every second stretched, every heartbeat amplified. Then Rook fired. Viper's reflexes were instantaneous. She dove, rolling behind a boulder, firing in a controlled burst. The bullets ricocheted, forcing him to move. Gage fired alongside her, cutting off his escape routes. Harris and the team pressed forward, coordinated, moving like shadows of steel. The hunters were skilled, but Viper was more than trained. She was intimate with their minds, their strategies, their instincts. And now, in the final crossfire, everything came to a head. Viper rose, taking a final, precise shot. Rook's body jerked, rifle clattering to the ground. He collapsed behind a tree, alive but incapacitated. The sniper from the river surfaced, eyes wide, realizing the balance of power had shifted. Viper's gaze locked on him, calm, calculating, lethal. The seals moved in unison, covering every angle. The hunter in the water knew the game was lost, but only just. Viper's voice cut through the mist. "It's over, stay down." The figure hesitated, then slowly submerged, disappearing beneath the river's black surface. Silence fell over the forest. The river was still, the mist curling gently, the shadows retreating into the night. Gage exhaled, heart-pounding, muscles trembling. "Is it over?" Viper didn't answer immediately. She scanned the river, the trees, every shadow. Then slowly she lowered her rifle. "For now," she said, voice low, still tense. "But he's out there, and he's not done, not ever. We survived tonight, but the hunt isn't over." The seals nodded, exhausted, shaken, but alive. The night had tested them, broken them, and pushed them to the edge, and they had survived. But the river, dark and silent, whispered of more danger, of unfinished business, and of a predator who was still very much out there. Dawn crept slowly over the forest, painting the treetops with pale gold. The river, which had been a mirror of shadows and death the night before, now glimmered with an almost serene beauty. But the peace was deceptive. Every leaf, every ripple, every shaft of light held the memory of what had transpired, a deadly game orchestrated with precision, cruelty, and obsession. Viper knelt on the riverbank, scanning the water, rifle resting across her knees. Her eyes were sharp, every sense still taut with tension. The seals moved quietly behind her, checking gear, counting, and ensuring no traps had been left in the chaos of the night. Their breaths came in slow, measured rhythms, but the adrenaline still lingered, refusing to fade. Gage approached, voice low. "Is he gone for good?" Viper didn't answer immediately. She stared at the river where ripples danced softly in the morning light. "I don't know," she admitted finally. "I don't think he's dead. He knows how to survive. He's not just a sniper, he's a ghost, a predator who's been waiting for this moment for years. And now we've survived his test." Harris, bruised but alert, shook his head. "He nearly killed us all. How do you stop someone like that?" Viper rose, scanning the forest one last time. Her gaze lingered on every shadow, every tree, every bend in the river. "You don't, not completely. You survive, you adapt, and you stay ahead. The team moved slowly, cautiously, exiting the clearing where the final confrontation had taken place. The forest was eerily quiet, almost as if it too were holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Gage walked beside Viper, eyes on the river. Why did he come after you, after us? Her jaw tightened, lips pressed into a thin line. Because of the past, missions no one acknowledges, mistakes I made, mistakes I couldn't fix. He survived what should have killed him, and he's been planning his revenge ever since. Every ambush, every trap, every shot, it was personal. Harris let out a low whistle. Personal and lethal, that was insane. Viper's eyes narrowed. It wasn't just a test of skill, it was a test of trust, to see if I could protect others when I'm hunted, to see if we could survive together. Gage nodded slowly. We did, barely. The seals fell into a tense silence, the weight of the night pressing down. The forest, once a playground for hunters, now felt like a graveyard of memories and near misses. Every fallen branch, every splintered tree, every ripple in the river carried the echoes of gunfire, the hiss of bullets, and the soft whisper of survival. Viper crouched beside a patch of disturbed earth. She touched it lightly, fingerprints, scuffs, the subtle traces of the sniper's movements. He's meticulous, she muttered. Every detail planned, every move calculated. He wanted us to feel hunted, and we did. Gage watched her, seeing the weight she carried. Her past, her history, the lives she had saved, and the mistakes she had made, all of it converged in this moment. And yet, despite it all, she had survived. They had survived. Harris broke the silence. What now? We can't stay here. Viper nodded, rising to her full height. We move, back to base, regroup, debrief, and plan for the next time. Her eyes glinted, cold and determined. Because there will be a next time. He won't stop hunting me, hunting us. Gage's stomach tightened. So this was just the beginning. Viper's lips curled into a faint, wry smile. It was the opening chapter, the prologue. The real hunt never ends. The team moved carefully along the riverbank, the forest slowly giving way to clearer terrain. The sun rose higher, scattering shadows and illuminating the devastation of the night. Broken branches, disturbed undergrowth, and the scars of the confrontation marked their path, a silent testament to the battle that had just been fought. Gage glanced at Viper. You're not scared. Her eyes locked on his. Fear is irrelevant, it's awareness that keeps you alive. He's out there, waiting, and if we hesitate, we die, simple as that. The seals followed her lead, disciplined and silent, hearts still racing but steadying with each careful step. The adrenaline had ebbed slightly, but the tension never truly left. The river whispered beside them, carrying the echo of the sniper's unseen presence. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught Viper's eye upstream, a shadow slipping through the mist, too quick to identify. She froze, hand raised. Not yet, she whispered. He's still watching, still calculating, and he knows we're aware now. Gage's pulse hammered. Then we can't relax, not even for a second. Viper nodded. Exactly. You survive by being ready, always, and by trusting your team. Harris muttered, voice low and awed. I've never seen anything like that. Not even in the training ops. That was unreal. Viper's gaze hardened. Real is what you survive. Unreal is what you leave behind. The river flowed steadily, deceptively calm, but Viper knew better. Somewhere beneath that surface, in the shadows of the forest, the predator lingered. Rook, the sniper, the one she thought she'd neutralized. He had vanished, and the memory of his presence lingered like smoke. Gage tightened his grip on his rifle. We'll find him, eventually, and when we do. Viper's eyes glinted, cold and fierce. We'll be ready, always ready. The hunt never ends, Gage, and tonight we survived. That's all that matters for now. The team emerged from the forest onto open ground. The morning sun cast long shadows behind them, illuminating the damage, the chaos, and the victory of survival. Yet the unease lingered, a subtle reminder that the world was larger, darker, and more dangerous than they had imagined. Viper paused at the edge of the clearing, looking back at the forest. A faint ripple on the river caught her eye, a subtle disturbance that could have been a fish or a man waiting to strike again. Her hand tightened on her rifle, eyes sharp. "He's out there," she muttered, almost to herself, "and he's not done." Gage placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we stay ready, together." Viper nodded, a faint smile breaking through the tension. "Together, always, but remember this was only the beginning. He will return. The hunt never ends." The seals moved forward, leaving the forest and river behind, each step measured, aware, and vigilant. The memory of the night would stay with them forever, a story of survival, trust, betrayal, and the unrelenting pursuit of a hunter who knew no mercy. The river whispered one last time, carrying the echo of shadows and the promise that somewhere, just beyond the mist, the predator watched and waited for the next game. And with that the forest fell silent. But the hunt never truly ends.